Hi, I am Purna Bikkasani MD, gastroenterologist, author of a book, Joy of Life, a bestseller on Amazon, and a life coach. Let us talk about the implications of COVID-19 pandemic and how to cope with it in this internet era. COVID-19 pandemic has been an infectious tsunami. It has infected 100 million people, caused 2 million deaths, and inflicted massive damage to our businesses, jobs, and lifestyles worldwide. It threatened the very existence of humanity. The world has witnessed its ravages. But remember, we are a superior human race, bestowed with memory and intelligence. Our ancestors have survived and progressed despite the pandemics, natural disasters, famine, and wars. Moreover, we are armed with science and technology to square off to the pandemics for now and in future as well. Otherwise, we will win this war. It depicts the hunter-gatherer era. This is who we were in the first era, the era of hunter-gatherers. About 10,000 of our ancestors crouched around the equator in Africa during Ice Age for 100,000 years. They survived and procreated just eating fruits, nuts, and the game they hunted. They lived simple life, hunted together, shared the spoils, food, and hunt, everything. Human migration. Look at the third slide. As the Ice Age receded, our ancestors migrated initially to North Africa, then to the Middle East, Asia, Australia, incrementally at different times. People are curious and adventurous. They explored the lands, seas, and nature, seeking better life perennially for themselves as well as for their progeny. It depicts the agriculture era. In this agricultural era, people settled on the river banks, Nile River in Egypt, Tigris and Euphrates rivers in Mesopotamia, Indus River in India, Yellow River belt in China. They domesticated the plants and animals in that agriculture era, and it was a boom for the growth of the population as well as the wealth, prosperity, and civilizations. The slide 4 shows the typical agriculture era. Interestingly, that was just about my picture. I was a farmer at the age 11 and doing that kind of work that you see on this slide 4. Now, let's talk about industrialization. The industrialization has begun about 300 years ago with the help of science and technology. It started with the discovery of a steam engine and also weaving machine in the 18th century. It boomed the business and powered the railways and water pumps, and weaving machines kicked up the Industrial Revolution in its first phase. In the early 19th century, industrialization reached a second phase where division of labor and automation are invoked to boost mass production and profits. In the third stage of industrialization, calculators, computers, cell phones have appeared in late 20th century, and they have set off to what is coming to be an internet era. And this internet era, which is depicted in slide 6, the age of communication and globalization was unleashed at the start of the 21st century. Let us look at the effect of globalization on our businesses, lifestyles. There were 3 mega trends in the globalization. Number 1, globalization of businesses led to open markets. Companies like Amazon, Apple, Google, and Tesla have gone global to exploit cheap labor and make better profits. But this process is not going to stop. No matter how much we try, temporize, and make measures to break it for a while, but this is the natural evolution of a global markets and open markets. Number two, globalization of labor markets resulted in outsourcing of production and migrating millions of jobs out of United States and advanced countries to the other countries where labor is cheap and affordable, in such as China, India, Taiwan, Ireland, and anywhere cheaper labor is available anywhere in the world. Number three, globalization also introduced and enhanced remote learning and working. This is a fundamental change that went with globalization. And what COVID-19 did is just accelerated it. Many employees right now are working from home and learning online, and the big businesses like Amazon, Google, Facebook, Apple, etc., they are doing their work remotely to a great extent and also communicating remotely with holding their businesses as well as profits intact. So basically, remote learning and working has fortified the globalization of the markets and the labor. The pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, is a stress test. It assesses our strengths and weaknesses in coping with it and something like it in future as well. COVID-19 is also a training platform for us to prepare to face off the current episode as well as get ready to deal with future pandemics, either preventing or curing them. COVID-19 also accelerated our adjustment to the remote working and remote learning. And every business that is connected with the remote working and remote learning have boomed during the COVID-19 pandemic. It also taught us a lesson. The lesson is the individuals can survive and thrive only when the society is protected. Everybody is interdependent on others in a society for their prosperity, trade, wealth, status, etc. In addition to that, it also taught us another lesson that people should be united. All the nations, scientists, pharma, doctors, paramedical personnel, and people across the world in every industry, every business are all geared up to find some treatments to this illness and prevention on a long-term basis. It's about coping with the COVID pandemic. Now let's look at some of these mechanisms. Number one, recognize and accept we are in a new socio-economic era in this century. In this era, new businesses and jobs replace the previous jobs and businesses. The old retail such as Kmart as well as Sears and JCPenney, etc. are being phased out with new businesses. That's what is exactly happening now. These changes are happening as compelling as they are. We can only adapt to them and change with those changing trends, but we cannot totally prevent them. Now, the other step that you can take is to take full advantage of stimulus packages that have been given before as well as still being offered. This is a second package is given and third was on its way. Also, we must heed to the advice to wear a mask or observe the social distancing so that it not only protects ourselves but everybody else in the community. Now, dealing with the job loss is an extremely difficult one. About 20 million jobs were lost in the first month following this pandemic. Some of the jobs are lost permanently in areas such as hospitality, transportation, service industry, art, design, entertainment, media, and construction manufacturing. Those jobs, some of them may come back and will as economy recovers, but some of them may not come back. Globalization marginated the old retail such as Kmart, Sears, JCPenney, and replaces them with new ones. If you lost a job, utilize the unemployment time and benefit from re-educating, retraining to take up a new job and start a new business. Just worrying, fearing, and doing nothing is not going to solve the problem of a job loss. This internet era is here. We must recognize it and accept it and adapt to it. We must embrace remote learning. The current educational system was built to suit the industrial age. The modern internet era invokes its own businesses, labor, and its relationships. The internet offers learning online, anytime, anywhere, almost free. The traditional colleges and teaching institutions either have to adapt slowly and bring in the online education along with traditional for several years to go, or if they resist totally, and they will be slowly extinct. Embrace remote working. All the major corporations, Google, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, you name it, have managed to work online for a year or so. Outsourcing of jobs is a necessity of the open markets. No matter what anybody does, outsourcing will continue and will become a universal phenomenon. The national interests, self-interest, imposing tariffs, controls, and political rhetoric will have limited influence on this subsurface massive evolutionary phenomenon. As a part of the understanding the internet era, that we must realize we are in an internet era and globalization. Each era offers its own productive systems, jobs, lifestyles, and relationships. We must realize, accept, and adapt to changing times. We should get over our attitudes and habits of the previous industrial attitudes and working styles to adapt to the new working styles of the internet era. Over 100 million people in the United States refuse to wear a mask, resist social distancing, and are unwilling to take vaccination. It is hurting us all. COVID-19 pandemic is having a field day in the United States. Freedom and independence are American virtues. But in this hour of serious national health crisis, acting together to eliminate COVID-19 pandemic is the virtue. So my fellow Americans, please yield to CDC guidelines in dealing with this COVID-19 pandemic. I'm confident we'll get over it anyway, but we will save lives and get over it sooner if we act together. If you like to learn how to apply these concepts in more detail, please check our best-selling book, Joy of Life. The link is in the description. 100% of the proceeds from this book are donated to Awareness USA, our nonprofit here in the United States. We help educate inner-city underprivileged students, ensuring that they make it to college one day. Additionally, we also offer workshops, counseling for those who need it. Please check out our website, awarenessusa.org, for more information. You can also email or call us or write us for any questions or comments or for any assistance. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak to you all, and other topics of general interest to live stressless and happy will follow this talk. Have a nice day. Thank you.